assume you come to a decision on whether you're going or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
What's kind of led into that decision?
I mean, I think it's still the timing I think works out. It's still been difficult. I mean, I think every day I go through this, is this the right decision thing? But I think it's something that you get an opportunity to wrestle a world championship. Just how often in your career do you get an opportunity to go wrestle and get an opportunity to be the best in the world? And it's something everyone in this room is aspiring to do. So I think that's a good thing for these guys to continue to see that. But obviously, and I'm trying to temper this obviously, but it's I'm excited to go wrestle. I am excited to go wrestle. It's have some really good opponents to potentially get to wrestle against that I've looked forward to wanting to wrestle for a long time. So I think that's great. However, you're just balancing that with just the responsibilities obviously that are here and what we're getting ready to do this year. But yeah, decided so I'll go wrestle.
Coach, I talked to Chad Weinberg on Friday. We talked specifically about this, and he looked at me and said, when he first mentioned it, I was wondering about the timing. And Chad said once he understood the timing of the competition and the start of the season, he was all for it. He said, we want him to do that. He's going to be that light for his team now.
Yeah, I just think that's a unique thing, to have an administration that's so supportive. That's huge. I think the two things that would have derailed this whole process is obviously your administration's not supportive of that. Team's not supportive of it. I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously, those two things have support in both those areas. So I think that makes it feel like it's a good decision.
It gives you a relationship with your wrestlers, especially the ones that are preparing you, that no other coach in the country can possibly have.
No, it's so unique. This whole situation is unique. Like for example, Dustin came with me to the World Team Trials, and I thought in that period of time wrestling with Dustin, it was so good because he got to wrestle me, obviously at that level where I was preparing, but it brought out a different level of competition in him. A competitive side that I hadn't seen prior to that, which I thought was really good. And originally, right off the bat, I'd asked him if he wanted to come with me. We talked about it. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, is that best for Dustin? Getting ready for the season, having to go over, wrestle, be over there for a couple of weeks. And, being a partner and also and training are very different. When you're a partner, you're not focused on yourself. You're really focused on trying to help somebody get better. When you're training, it's about you. So we talked about the balance that we would have. Okay, in the morning, we would train. In the afternoon, we'd come back and we'd work on you and make sure that you're getting what you need as you're getting ready for the competition season. And we kind of talked, do you think that's a good idea? And I just it really left it up to him, like, what do you think? And he's like, well, Coach, what do you think is best? The longer I thought about it, I feel like it really wasn't in his best interest probably to do that. I think he needs to focus on getting ready for the season. So he's going to stay. But Braden Thompson's going to come with me. Braden's redshirting this year. He's doing a great job. He's getting bigger. Again, just like I think for him, sometimes in a redshirt year, you can get kind of lost a little bit, especially when you've competed last year and redshirting this year. But he's very focused. He's doing a great job in practice. He's really pushing the guys. We tell him every day, like, hey, you're training like you could be wrestling. And he's taken that to the fullest. And then same thing, like to be able to come over there, he's excited. He's excited to come over there and wrestle, and be a great experience for him to see a world championship, senior world championship. I think that's something he aspires to do down the road. And obviously having a red shirt year, he's got a little more flexibility. So just kind of give you an idea of like the thought that goes into this. The selfish thing is to be like, yeah, definitely, I'm going to go wrestle. Everyone else will figure it out. Not one time has that gone through my mind. It's thinking about everything else that goes into it, making sure all of that makes sense, and it does. So going and wrestling makes sense.
The first schedule came out last week. What were you looking when you were putting together the schedule? What were you looking for? Different meets, different matches that you were looking at?
There wasn't a lot of flexibility this year. I mean, it was pretty set. Some of the tournaments, trying to figure out. Cliff Keene's a very tough tournament. Actually, I've never been to Vegas before. I've never been to that tournament. But it's tough. It's very tough, and it's early. So we just kind of weighed. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? But I think for our team, it's going to be a good opportunity to see where we're at. You know, we're going to get some really good challenges, some guys that we'll get challenged with some opponents that maybe we won't see throughout the season. Get a chance to see some of our guys are at. So that was probably the biggest fluctuation in tournament. So we feel good about it. It's a tough, very challenging schedule. But you know, that's why these guys are training. You know, they want to go out and wrestle good matches.
David, what went into the kind of the process of determining whether Braden was going to redshirt or not?
I just think it makes sense for him to redshirt. You know, we have a lot of seniors, you know, in the lineup. Very guys, obviously, really good guys. You know, Braden's not that it changed his mentality. I just think last year, I just think he felt maybe it was just it was a tough year. Wrestling as a true freshman is a very challenging thing to do, and he had a great season. You know, but this gives him time to really just develop. You know, and we talked to him about how we're going to develop him this year, and he's really grown into 184. I mean, he's a full-size 184 now. He looks really good. So I just think for him, our team, I think it just made for the best decision.
Have you determined who all you're going to redshirt, or if you're going to redshirt any of those transfers, or are you planning on wrestling all of them?
We're going to wrestle our best lineup.
How close are you on a lineup? There's still some spots that are open, or have you got it ironed out pretty good, do you think?
I think it's, you know, I think the lineup is pretty straightforward. I mean, there's a few weight classes that are going to be contested. Probably a little more contested than others. And like I said, I think there's different things that we're looking at, you know, with what we're going to, when we put guys out in the lineup when they're going to go wrestle. So, but, you know, competition can sometimes bring the best out of you, and sometimes can bring, you know, not the best out of you. So we want competition. We want guys that competition brings the best out of them, and they're ready to go out there and compete really hard.
Coach, I know that wrestling in the Worlds probably wasn't in your thought process the day you took the job here, but where are you in building the program and getting the program to have the things included in it that you want at this stage?
I mean, I think it's you know, going back to that time, I mean, there was a lot of things going on, you know, a lot of moving pieces. I feel like things have settled down and they've continued to formulate. I think things are in a really good spot. You know, I think, you know, we're really excited about the team that we have now. We're excited about the recruiting class that we have coming in. You know, just been a lot of momentum around the program in all areas. So all things are, I think, in a good spot right now.
I think from the general fan standpoint that I've heard from feedback from OSU fans when you got hired, there's a lot of confidence in your ability to coach, but people wondered, is he going to be able to deal with the politics and the recruiting and all the different things that come into play, dealing with the media, all that stuff that has to happen? How have you, I guess, approached that? Have you liked that? Has that been a headache? Has it been, you know, the things a little bit outside of wrestling that aren't directly on the mat?
I mean, I was, you know, prior to taking this job, I was pretty busy. You know, I was balancing a lot of things. So, nothing here has really been super, you know, concerning, or as, you know, it's just, you just learn, you just got to adjust. And I feel pretty well equipped in all those areas. And in the areas that I'm not, you know, we have a great staff, you know, that has a lot of experience that helps me, and I lean on those guys all the time. You know, a great administration that's supportive, you know. So early on, obviously, was a lot of questions, you know, but as time's going on, it's just, you know, adjusting. And as we get closer to the season, you know, we're here to be a wrestling coach, and we're getting really close to being able to coach guys during the season, which is something we're all really looking forward to.
I know you got several transfers, not to put any one above the other, but maybe the most interesting is a military academy transfer, Wyatt Hendrickson. Can you talk about what he's been like and what you see him being able to do this season on the mat, but also within that locker room?
We got very fortunate with the transfers that we had. You know, some were prior to us getting here, some were after. They're just, sometimes I think you get transfers maybe at the end of their career and they're just checked out, you know, and they're just trying to figure it out one more year. These guys are not. They're engaged. They are focused. They're hungry. You know, they are wrestling like they got a mission this year and they're trying to achieve something. You know, I think across the board, I think that's been really awesome to be around. And then Wyatt specifically, I mean, he's a great leader. You know, he just got a great personality. I think from the very first day he stepped in the room, you know, he's the guy that people gravitated towards. So, and I think from a community, we're excited to watch him compete. You know, he's been a guy that's dominated, you know, for the last couple of years, and maybe was missing something a little bit at the national tournament, you know, and hoping that we can help him in that area. I think he feels really confident in that. It's going to take one match at a time, but for him, it's just, you know, being himself and, you know, feeling confident and healthy going to the national tournament. And he's obviously looking forward to that.
He visited under the last staff and then committed to you. Was that something that you communicated to him before he decided to come here, or was it kind of already a done deal when he came?
No, I mean, I think he was still looking around. I mean, I definitely, as soon as I got the job, called him and just kind of talked through things with him. And I think he grew up. I mean, he talks about growing up being an Oklahoma State wrestling fan, and this was a place that he really wanted to come to, and he just had to kind of figure it out. And I think it's a thing with these kids, and they take their visits, is I think a lot of kids know what they want and where they want to go, but whether you want to check out everything or you just want to make sure it's the right thing. You know, I think as he took his visits, he knew this was the right thing, and obviously we're really happy to have him.
I think
Is
we're
there
gonna.
any additional red tape that comes with recruiting a kid from a military academy? Because obviously they have other obligations beyond their wrestling career.
Yeah, I think this was a unique, probably one-on-one scenario, just because of, you know, having the extra year of eligibility, you know, from COVID and, you know, exhausting his time at the Air Force. And we're just really, you know, fortunate that it worked out. He could come here. But yeah, I mean, but just with NCAAs right now, I mean, things change all the time, you know, so I think, you know, Chad talks about all the time, you just get used to change, you know, so it worked out in our favor this time, and we'll see what it looks like in the future.
I think we're gonna talk to Cody Merrill here in a little bit. What's kind of stood out about him since you've been here?
Cody, you know, obviously was, you know, part of the recruiting class that was here before he got here, and I had known Cody, his name, and knew his credentials, following him around, but I didn't really spend much time with him. And just getting the opportunity to wrestle with him and spend time with him, but he's one of those guys that you just say something to him one time, whether it's, you know, specific or in passing, and he's gonna implement that right away, you know, and, you know, those guys are really enjoyable to coach. So, you know, he's doing a really good job. A true freshman at 197 is, you know, obviously, or, you know, being at that age and size is difficult. Comes with some things, but he's in there since day one. I mean, he's been scrapping with everybody, and he's got a really good mentality. You know, he's like a sponge. He's really trying to learn, and I think he's a guy that can be very good in a lot of areas. You know, he's had great defense, but he's developing, you know, some different things in all positions. He's willing to try it, you know, which is cool to see that. So, yeah, it's been really good working with him so far.
You mentioned the schedule and going out to Cliff Keen and all those things. For any of your open tournaments and stuff like that, do you expect to bring all the starters in like a 2 deep, or what's kind of your plan for who you take to tournaments like that?
You know, it's just figuring out where we are and what we're trying to accomplish. You know, I think having our red shirts, getting matches in, I think that's really important. You know, it's very easy in a red shirt year to get just distracted and kind of just fall into routine. So I think getting challenged, and also I think the room has been very competitive. So I think for these guys to get out and wrestle other people is going to be good. I think they're going to be excited and pleased with the things they're working on, going to be successful. You know, when you're in the room and everyone's doing the same thing, it's the improvements can feel small, but when you go compete, they can feel big. So, but we're going to send guys that are ready to go. If they're not ready to go, then, you know, then maybe that's not right for them. This year we're going to do something a little different as well. If you wrestle in the lineup, you'll be in an orange singlet. Open tournaments, you'll be in just a plain black singlet. So it's something that you got to earn the opportunity, you know, to wear that singlet. So that'll be something a little unique this year with guys going and competing.
At what point did you kind of think of that idea? How'd that come about?
It's just something we talked about it. You know, I just think it's the history and the historic relevance of wearing that orange singlet means something. It's not, you know, just throw it on and go out and wrestle if you're not prepared, you know. So I think it's just something to kind of like you're working for, you know. It's something that you get to earn, and I think it's always good to have things like that. Just keeps you hungry.
Will you do that in the postseason tournaments? Because they've kind of done that. You got to make the final day. your orange singlet doesn't come out until the finals or the, consolation finals, whatever?
No, we're gonna compete in orange. Yeah, we're gonna compete in orange, so
Good.
keep that standard. There'll be a little bit change to our singlet this year. We'll kind of see that here coming up soon, but yeah, we'll be competing in orange.
What are your thoughts on Stillwater? You've been here for a few months, like the actual community itself and living and being here with family.
It's been awesome. It's just a town that makes you feel really welcome. I think since the day we got down here, just felt really welcome, but we spent a lot of our time here. Or on the road recruiting so far. So it's been obviously like our families knowing each other and spending a lot of time with each other is really valuable in that. And then to the outside community has really made us feel like this is home and has really embraced us, obviously, which has been great as well.
I'm just curious, do you ever have moments where you just kind of, I don't know whether it's like something big or something small and it just kind of hits you and you're like, oh yeah, I'm the head coach of Oklahoma State, or is everything just so routine you don't even ever have those moments?
No, I do have them. I mean, it's a pretty, just the being here and have the opportunity, when you think about just the amount of decisions that you get to make and that you're responsible for is it's just a really cool opportunity, and just kind of going back to just sometimes like, man, it's just really grateful, grateful to be here and, we're just trying to get better, every day and, but yeah, there's days that you're like, man, this is pretty awesome, this is pretty awesome.
I know the team is most important, but Cowboy Wrestling Club, whether it's the amateurs that are wrestling like you will be in the Worlds, or even the youth, you were very involved in that back at Penn State or back at home. How's Cowboy Wrestling Club advancing?
Oh, so the Cowboy Wrestling Club, the youth club?
Everything.
Yeah.
The whole infrastructure of that part of it.
I think things are advancing. I think when momentum comes in, I think everyone gets excited about wrestling. I would say the wrestling community as a whole across the country has had a little bit of extra excitement and enthusiasm. I think even just with change, there's a ripple effect to that. All the way down. So I think it's I think everything's moving forward.
133, big hole to fill, big shoes to fill with Dayton out, and graduating and moving on. What should we expect to see there this season?
Yeah, I mean we have some good options in there. That's a weight class that's going to be contested. We'll see. Kind of see where things shake out. We got Reese and Kale, Blankenship, JJ. So I think those guys are gonna wrestle, and we'll kind of see where it shakes out. But it's definitely a pretty competitive weight class, and one where we'll kind of see what happens after wrestle-offs.
Do you have an idea for what your competitive career is going to hold beyond the next couple weeks?
Yeah, this is it. Definitely, I think coming back and wrestling the trials. I was just talking to my wife about this last night. It was something that I'd made my mind up that I really wanted to do it and I wanted to compete. So balancing everything was a little bit easier at that point. I think between now and the World Championships, it starts to hit you the significance of what you're balancing. It's a lot. At that point in time, we were still in the summer. We were training hard. I was doing what they were doing. But now preparing for guys at that level, it just takes more preparation. It takes a little bit more, focus, and it's focus that takes away from other things, or it's just, if it's not taking away from something else, it's that extra stuff that's on your plate. There's obviously a lot on your plate being a coach of this program. So, excited to compete, but yeah, this will be it for me.
Have you gotten a chance to see Isaac work with the women's club?
I haven't got a chance, to see that, but I think Isaac's a guy that's had he expressed interest in coaching and does a great job just being around the program. So, he's doing a great job and will do a great job there for sure.
Coach, what are we looking at 149 right now?
The weight class?
Yeah, the weight class 149.
In terms of,
Just like who's gonna step up? Who are you looking at contending for that weight class and whatnot?
yeah, I mean, again, got some options in there, got some younger guys. You know, we'll see kind of where it shakes out here in the next couple weeks.